let's agree, man. I mean, what an interesting time in the wrestling world it was. That mid 80s when he started that pivot, it does feel like from like 85 to 90, those characters, whether it's the $1 Million Man or Mr. Perfect or Honky Tonk Man or Ravishing Rick Rude or the Ultimate Warrior, or hell, even Coco Beware. I mean, Jimmy Hart and Tito Santana. There's so many iconic characters that they did become a part of pop culture. So it makes sense when you get your hands on WCW and you're trying to monetize this thing. And I know that you've taken some heat for this in the past, and I think unfairly, and I say this as a guy from the South, but you wanted to disassociate yourself with this being a regional promotion. And make no mistake, even though they had a national television product through WTBS, Jim Crockett Promotions, aka Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling, is a regional promotion. Nothing wrong with that. But the Carolinas and Virginia and that sort of thing, that's where they were making their money. And of course, now Vince has taken this thing global. WCW needs to do the same. So I think that was an initiative of yours as quickly as you could. Remove any and all regional feel from the program because you want it to feel larger than life. And that is one of the things that Vince McMahon was able to successfully do. Now, part of that may be because he was in the media capital of the world, New York. Not really. He was in Connecticut, but he pretended like he was from New York. And then when we were sort of pushing WrestleMania at WrestleMania 2, after the first one was in Madison Square Garden, we went to other large media markets. We were in New York. We were in Los Angeles. We were in Chicago. That's 1, 2, and 3 of the media markets here in the United States. So for a company based in Atlanta, which was not one of those big three, and it is based in the South, and you're from Minnesota, you had to know, hey guys, we're going to need some global appeal. Is that one of the reasons you liked going to Hulk Hogan's Bag of Tricks, if you will? Because I mean, the name of the cartoon, it was Hulk Hogan and Friends. And that's kind of what this was going to be for WCW too. If he can bring along some of these iconic characters, like a Jimmy Hart, like a Hacksaw Jim Duggan, certainly along the way, we'll pick up Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund. Did you like, sort of borrowing some of their credibility as, global presences in the wrestling space, or am I overthinking that?
No, but I want to kind of reframe the context a little bit.
Sure.
My intention or my goal was never to eliminate any and all Southern influence on the show. I think that's overstating it. Did I want to balance it? Yeah, because we were far too unbalanced. In terms of the brand position of our company, the most forward-facing, consistently obvious parts of our show had a very Southern vibe to it. Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, going all the way back to the Crockett's and some of those announcers. Certainly our bigger stars at the time all came from that territory. And as such, kind of represented that regional Southern style or approach to the presentation, because that style was much different. It was a weekly territory in the South primarily, whereas Minnesota was a monthly territory. So it had a different type of presentation. Stories moved a little slower, for example. They weren't as angle intensive, as another example. When they did have angles in the South, they tended to be angles because they had so many of them. In order to, because of the weekly territory nature, your angles tended to try to top the one the week before it. And they got very, very colorful. Not so much in Minnesota. So there was just presentation differences between North and South. It wasn't necessarily personal preference or a bias one way or the other, as much as it was me having the presence of mind to go, okay, we need to grow our audience outside of the audience we already have. We're dominant in the Southeast because the presence had been so prolonged, established, right? But now I need to go outside of my congregation, so to speak. I need to preach outside of the congregation. How do I do that? I don't know. Bring in some characters that appeal to that audience because of the exposure they've had in WWE. It's really simple. It's been made out to be, oh, Hogan wanted all his friends to work for him. Bullshit. I was not influenced at all but from Hulk Hogan about whether or not to bring in so it's zero conversation about it until after the fact. And Hulk was really happy because who doesn't want to hang around Hacksaw Jim Duggan backstage? So there was a lot of that, but so much has been made of it. Now, Jimmy Hart came with Hulk and still is with Hulk and travels everywhere with Hulk. So that was just part of the package. Brutus, yeah, I did. I caved on that one. But beyond that, sure, he suggested people, and from time to time, some of them I brought in, some of them I didn't. Some I brought in, they didn't stick around long, one reason or another. Honky Tonk Man. So yeah, I brought in because I wanted to appeal to the audience outside of the one I already had, because you can't grow if you don't. Here's the other reason I brought in Hacksaw. Or I should say, not the reason I brought him in, but one of the reasons why I felt so comfortable bringing him in is because his crowd reaction was absolutely predictable. You could bet your mortgage on it.
Yes.
Absolutely bet your mortgage that when Hacksaw Jim Duggan came out, I don't care what happened before it. I don't care what happened earlier in the night. I don't care what's going on after the Jim Duggan match. I know exactly what's going to happen when he walks through the curtain. As a producer, that's kind of valuable. Comes in handy. It's a nice little tool to have in your toolkit when you need it. That's Jim. That's because of the character that Jim built and created.
How do you first meet Jim in WCW here in 1994?
Yeah. I knew who he was, but I had never met him.
Did he? I'm not asking this to be funny. I'm asking because I don't know. Did he have an agent? Was that a thing back then, or do you just reach out to him directly? How does that all come to be?
I wouldn't have reached out directly. He would have. It would have been either through, depending on when he came in, through Dusty, Ric Flair, Kevin Sullivan, maybe Jimmy Hart. Went to Kevin or went to Dusty or went to Ric Flair. I don't know. It got to me, and I approved it for the reasons that I just described. It was not even much of a decision. It was a little bit of a negotiation. I think Jim was a little bit disappointed, but no, I didn't deal with his agent.
Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, well, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105 or get yourself a quick quote. Even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.